Mark Hale always believed that space assignments would be the most boring part of his engineering career. He imagined long hours repairing broken wires, checking energy cores, and filling out reports that nobody read. So when he received his first real posting on the Alliance orbital station above the planet Serion 5, he expected nothing more than routine work and maybe a few curious aliens staring at him because humans were still new to the Alliance. He did not expect anything dramatic. He definitely did not expect a beautiful alien woman to walk up to him, smile calmly, and say, "Human, you've been assigned a lover, and it's me." But all of that came later. For now, Mark stood inside the docking bay of the station, holding his small toolkit bag and trying not to look nervous. The place was huge, bigger than any human base. Bright lights ran across the curved ceiling, and dozens of species moved around, talking, trading, and working. Some had scales, some had fur, some looked almost human with just strange markings or glowing eyes. Everything felt alive and humming. Mark felt like the smallest creature in the entire place. His boots clicked on the metal floor as he followed the station guide, a small floating drone, toward the central briefing hall. He tried not to stare too much at others, but some stared openly at him. Humans were the newcomers. They didn't have centuries of experience traveling across the stars. They were still learning how the Alliance worked. Some aliens respected that, others found it amusing. The drone beeped as it led him. "Engineer Mark Hale, welcome to Alliance Station A-17. You are assigned under Chief Engineer Keel. Please proceed for orientation." Mark nodded, even though the drone probably didn't care. "Right. Thank you." He took a deep breath and stepped into the briefing hall. Inside, a group of officers stood waiting. Some wore glowing armor, others simple robes. But one figure stood out immediately. She was taller than him, slender, graceful, with deep blue skin that shimmered under the lights. Her eyes glowed silver, calm and focused. She had hair that floated slightly like soft ribbons in water. She looked elegant and powerful at the same time. Mark recognized her species from his training, the Saren. The Saren were known for their emotional balance, energy sensitivity, and almost musical voices. They didn't make loud movements. Everything about them was smooth, peaceful. She stepped forward and gave a polite bow. "Human arrival confirmed. I greet you." Mark tried to return the gesture, but he almost tripped. Greetings, I'm Mark Hale." Her lips curved slightly, not quite a smile, but close. "I am Rila, commander of this station." Mark blinked twice. Commander? He hadn't expected to meet the station leader on his first day. Rila looked at the drone. "Has his pairing assignment been logged?" The drone beeped. "Pairing program activated automatically during registration, confirmed." Mark looked confused. "Pairing? What pairing?" But Rila didn't answer. She was already turning to lead him out of the room. Mark followed, feeling a strange twist in his stomach. Something felt wrong, or at least unexpected. They walked through quiet hallways filled with a gentle hum of engines and air handlers. The station felt too peaceful. Ryla walked beside him, hands folded behind her back. "You are nervous," she said softly. Mark swallowed. "A little. I'm new here." "That is expected, but you will adjust quickly. Humans adapt well." He smiled weakly. "I hope so." They entered a small room with 2 chairs and a table. It looked like a meeting area. Rila turned toward him fully. Her silver eyes glowed faintly. "Human, before we continue, you must understand that the Alliance uses programs to support peaceful cooperation between species." "Right," Mark said, nodding. "I learned about cultural exchange programs." "Yes," Rila replied. "Your species benefits greatly from emotional stability training. Humans have strong emotions. Saren help balance that. And sometimes, assignments are made to reduce stress and increase harmony." Mark didn't understand where she was going until she stepped closer, still calm, still composed. "Human," she said with a gentle smile. "You have been assigned a lover, and it is me." Mark froze. His first thought, what? His second thought, this must be some translation error. His third thought, please tell me I'm not about to get in trouble on my first day. "Lal lover," Mark stuttered. "Wait, hold on. That can't be right." Rila nodded calmly. "It is correct. The pairing file automatically selected me due to compatibility scores." Mark felt heat rising in his face. "But I didn't sign up for anything like that." Rila tilted her head slightly, studying him like she was observing a small animal. "This arrangement is not forced. It is for harmony. Pairing does not mean physical closeness unless both choose. It simply means we share living quarters, emotional support, and personal time." Mark blinked. "Live together?" "Yes. It stabilizes the mind. Saren do this with new coworkers. Your stress reduces, my energy sensitivity stays balanced. It is mutually helpful." Mark felt like sitting down. "So, basically a roommate program?" Rila considered it, then nodded. "In simple human terms, yes, but with deeper connection if both agree in future." He rubbed his forehead. Okay. I think I understand. But why did the system assign me to you? You're the station commander." "Because I requested a human partner," she said simply. Mark stared at her. "Why me?" "You have a calm core. I sensed it the moment you stepped into the hall." He blinked. "I have a calm core?" "Yes. Other humans vibrate too loudly with their emotions. You are quieter. It fits me." Mark didn't know if that was a compliment, but it felt strange. Good strange. Rila stepped back slightly to give him space. "If you refuse, the program will assign someone else. I do not wish to force you." Mark shook his head quickly. "No, I'm not refusing. I just need time to think." "That is acceptable." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the walls. Mark jumped, but Rila remained perfectly calm. "Energy fluctuation detected," an automated voice said through the speakers. "Sector 11 experiencing unstable readings." Rila touched a panel on her wrist. "Show me." A hologram appeared. Energy waves spiked dangerously in one part of the station. Mark recognized the pattern instantly. "That's not normal fluctuation. That's overload from the inner core." "You have seen this before?" Rila asked. "At my last training post. If it reaches this level, it could shut down the whole sector." Rila nodded. "Come, you will assist." Mark followed her through the corridors. The alarms continued to pulse. Some aliens hurried past them, but most remained calm. Mark wished he had their confidence. They reached Sector 11, a wide mechanical hall filled with pipes, glowing cables, and humming generators. The energy readings were even worse here. Sparks flew from a panel. The air vibrated with tension. Rila placed her palm on the wall. Her eyes glowed brighter. "The energy flow is twisting unnaturally." Mark opened his toolkit. "Give me a few minutes. I can reroute the load." He climbed onto a maintenance platform and opened a panel. Inside, wires flickered with unstable power. He was about to start repairs when Rila suddenly said, "Stop." He froze. "What is it?" "This is not random failure," she said softly. "Someone interfered with the system." Mark frowned. "You mean sabotage?" Rila nodded slowly. "Yes." Before he could respond, the doors behind them suddenly sealed shut with a heavy clang. Mark rushed to the door. "It's locked!" Rila placed her palm on the panel. "Not locked! Trapped!" The alarm changed tone, louder, more urgent. "Oxygen levels declining," the automated voice announced. "Please evacuate." "Evacuate?" Mark said. "We can't. The doors won't open." Rila stepped closer to him, her voice steady. "Do not fear. We will resolve this." Mark was breathing faster now. The oxygen level will drop fast. We need to fix the core before... Before he finished his sentence, the lights flickered and dimmed. Only emergency lamps remained. Mark's heart pounded. It felt like the walls were closing in. Rila touched his arm gently. Her hand was cool, calming. Human, steady your breath. Fear wastes air. Her voice worked like a soft breeze. Mark forced himself to slow down, focusing on her calm presence. "Good," she said quietly. "Now we work." Together, they returned to the broken energy core. Mark opened another panel. Rila stood beside him, sensing energy flows through vibrations he could not feel. "There," she said, pointing. "A false line. It carries disruptive energy." Mark traced it. "Someone installed this. On purpose." "Yes," he swallowed. "We need to remove it." Rila nodded. "Begin. I will support you." With shaking hands, Mark grabbed the insulated tool and started disconnecting wires. Sparks jumped dangerously. The heat grew. Rila placed her hand on his back, not in a romantic way, but in a steadying way. Her energy felt like cool water spreading across his nerves. "You are doing well," she whispered. Mark didn't know why, but her words made him feel braver. He cut the last wire. The energy fluctuations dropped, but the system was still unstable. "We need to restart the core," Mark said, "but it might blow if I do it too fast." "You will not do it alone," Rila replied. She stepped closer and placed her hand on the console. Her eyes glowed intensely. "I can sense the safe path." Mark looked at her. "Then guide me," she nodded. Together. Their hands moved over the controls, his steady, hers sensing every vibration. Slowly, they stabilized the flow. The energy waves shifted from chaotic red to a calmer blue, but the air was getting thinner. Mark felt dizzy. His breath came shallow. Rila noticed immediately. "Human, stay awake." "I'm trying." She placed both hands on his shoulders, her voice firm. "Look at me." He forced his eyes to stay open. "You are strong," she said. "You are calm. Focus." Her voice pulled him back. His mind steadied. He pressed the final sequence. The core hummed back to life smoothly. The alarms stopped. The oxygen warning ceased. Mark dropped to his knees in exhaustion, breathing hard. The doors opened with a soft hiss. Rila knelt beside him, supporting him. She did not look tired at all. "You saved the station," she said softly. Mark coughed, shaking his head. "We saved it together." Rila smiled, this time clearly, gently. "Then our pairing is good." Mark stared at her. "Is this what pairing means?" "Yes," she said. "Trust, balance, support during danger. Nothing more unless chosen." Mark finally understood. It wasn't romance forced by the station. It was a partnership shaped by need and trust. He nodded slowly. "I think I'm okay with it." Rila helped him stand. "Good. Then stay close. We have more to face. This sabotage was only the beginning." Mark felt a strange warmth, fear, excitement, and something else. Whatever happened next, he wasn't alone. And somehow, that meant everything. The station seemed quiet after the alarm stopped, but Mark knew better. He could feel it in his chest. Something wasn't right. The sabotage in Sector 11 had been precise. Someone wanted the station to fail, and somehow, humans were now part of the equation. Rila walked beside him silently as they left the mechanical sector. She moved with her usual grace, her silver eyes scanning every corner. Mark noticed for the first time how finely attuned she was to her environment. Every step, every breath, every flicker of light caught her attention. "You are exhausted," she said softly. "Rest is allowed, but danger may return." I can rest later," Mark said. His voice was hoarse from the adrenaline, from holding his fear in check. "We need to find out who did this." Rila nodded. "Yes, that is wise, But understand, human, this is not simple mischief. Someone wanted to destabilize the station. That means skill and planning. Mark felt his stomach twist. You think it's a rival faction? Possibly, she said. Or someone who wishes harm upon humans in the Alliance. There are those who do not welcome your species. The thought made Mark uneasy. He had always imagined space exploration as exciting, but never dangerous on this personal level. He had faced dangerous engineering tasks before, yes, but sabotage and enemies were something entirely different. Rila stopped in a quiet corridor, her hand hovering over a touch panel. We need to check the surveillance logs. Mark peered at the screen as she accessed the data. Figures moved through the station in the recordings, some familiar, some alien, some in the shadows. One figure caught both their attention, a humanoid in dark armor moving stealthily near the core. That's our saboteur, Rila said. Her voice was calm, but there was a sharpness to it now. We need to intercept him before he causes more damage. Mark gulped. How do we even do that? Arila smiled faintly. Together. He didn't know exactly what she meant, but he trusted her. Somehow, after everything that had just happened, he felt he could. The two moved silently through the station. The corridors were dim, but Reila's silver eyes lit faintly, scanning for energy disturbances. Mark followed her closely, relying on her guidance. For the first time, he noticed how much easier it was to move when someone seemed to see the entire station at once. He felt calmer than he had in hours. They reached a junction leading to the upper maintenance decks, where the saboteur was likely heading. Reila paused. The person ahead is dangerous. You must stay focused. I will, Mark said, though his heart raced. The corridor was narrow. Shadows stretched across the walls. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end, aiming a device that pulsed with energy. Stop! Reila called, her voice sharp and commanding. The figure froze for a second. Mark recognized it now, humanoid, but clearly alien, with armor reflecting the light. It raised the weapon, but Arila moved first. She extended a hand and a subtle pulse of energy surged from her, making the saboteur stagger backward. Mark instinctively reached for his tools, trying to disable the device. Sparks flew as he hacked the panel of the weapon. Reila moved with him, calm and precise. Careful, she said. It may explode if mishandled. Mark held his breath. One wrong move and the station could be torn apart. He adjusted his grip, and with a final spark, the device died. The saboteur stumbled back, realizing defeat. You interfered, he growled. Reila stepped forward. Your attack ends here. You are caught. Mark noticed something strange. The saboteur's armor carried an insignia he had seen before in the Alliance files, a symbol of a faction known to resist human integration. Suddenly, everything made sense. This was not random. This was targeted. The saboteur tried to flee, but Reila moved with swift precision, blocking his path. Mark stepped beside her, ready to act. He wasn't sure what he could do against an armored alien, but he felt a strange courage, the same calm core Reila had spoken about earlier. Together, they cornered him until the security drones arrived. The saboteur was restrained, grumbling threats and refusing to speak. Reila turned to Mark. You handled yourself well. You did not panic. I just followed your lead, Mark admitted. I wouldn't have managed this alone. That is the purpose of pairing, Reila said softly. Support in all circumstances. Not force, not ownership, trust. Mark nodded slowly. It was strange. He had thought pairing sounded strange at first, maybe even intrusive. But now he understood. It was not about love or obligation. It was about survival, about balance, about facing challenges together. They returned to the control hub. The station's energy systems had been stabilized, but the attack had revealed weaknesses. Ryla began issuing orders to secure the decks, and Mark followed, assisting where he could. He realized that despite being new, his skills were respected here, and his pairing with Arila allowed him to work without fear. Hours passed as they reinforced the station's systems. Mark worked closely beside Rila, and though exhaustion tugged at him, he felt a strange exhilaration. This was not what he expected from a routine assignment. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was part of something bigger. When the work finally slowed, Rila motioned for him to rest. "Come, you must regain your strength." Mark hesitated. I don't mind staying. I feel safer with you." Rila's lips curved slightly in a small, genuine smile. "Very well. You may stay then, but rest is important." Mark allowed her to lead him to a small living quarters assigned for him. It was simple but comfortable, designed for one human. Rila had access, but she respected privacy. He appreciated that. As he settled onto the bed, he realized something. He was not afraid anymore, not of the station, not of the sabotage, not even of the strange concept of pairing. Somehow, he had learned that trust could be a weapon as powerful as any tool or weapon. Rila remained standing near the door, silently watching. "You will sleep now," she said. "I will remain nearby if needed." Mark nodded. "Thank you." As he drifted into a tired sleep, his mind replayed the events of the day. The pairing program that had terrified him at first now seemed like a blessing. He had faced danger and survived not alone, but together. He had learned that humans could adapt, could be brave, could become more than expected, even in a galaxy that seemed vast, complex, and uncertain. When he woke the next day, the station was calm. Repairs were complete, and the saboteur was in secure custody. Rila entered quietly, carrying a small tray with nutrient packs. "Good morning," she said simply. "You slept well?" Mark sat up. "Surprisingly well. I guess I didn't realize how exhausted I was." "You handled yourself well yesterday," she said, placing the tray on the table. "Many would have panicked. Humans are often impulsive, but you remained steady." Mark smiled faintly. "I had good guidance." Rila nodded. "Guidance can help, but you made the choice to act. That is the strength of humans. You can be unpredictable, but not foolish. That is why pairing with you is valuable." Mark felt a warmth in his chest. He didn't fully understand the Saren way yet, but he realized something important. This pairing was not about romance. It was about mutual respect, trust, and growth. Over the following days, Mark and Rila worked closely together. He learned more about her culture, her energy sensing, and her methods of problem solving. She learned about human humor, stubbornness, and resourcefulness. The station's crew began noticing them as a team. Humans had a reputation as beginners, but Mark's calm thinking and Rila's leadership created a combination that even seasoned officers respected. One evening, as they reviewed system logs together, Rila said softly, "Human, you surprised me. Not because of your skill, but because of your willingness to trust. That is rare." Mark laughed quietly. "I didn't know I had a choice." "You always have choice," she said. "Pairing does not take it away. It only shows you how strong you can be when you accept support." Mark realized she was right. He had worried about being trapped, about losing independence, about being forced into something alien. But he had gained something more important, a companion who could guide him, trust him, and challenge him without control. From that moment, Mark decided that he did not want to leave Arila's side, not because he had to, but because he chose to, and he knew she felt the same way. As the station lights dimmed and the artificial night cycle began, Mark looked at Arila and said quietly, I think I want to stay paired with you." Her silver eyes softened. Then it is agreed. By choice, not by program. That is the true bond. Mark smiled, feeling an unexpected sense of peace. For the first time in the galaxy, he understood what pairing could mean. It was not about obligation, not about fear, not about rules. It was about trust, courage, and connection. And for a human engineer far from home, that was more valuable than any technology, any mission, or any distant star. The station continued its quiet hum around them. The stars outside shone brightly, indifferent, yet beautiful. And in the middle of that vastness, a human and an alien stood together, stronger because they had chosen each other, united not by assignment, but by trust. Whatever dangers the galaxy would throw at them next, they would face it side by side. And that was enough.